This is Josh Olmstead. Welcome to Northwest Disc Golf's coverage of the Liberty Open. This is a B-tier event out of Portland, Oregon at the stunning Blue Lake Disc Golf Course. Glad you could join us for some sweet disc golf action. Joining me once again on the coverage is Nick Marshall, owner of Odin Disc Golf Bags. You all ready to go, Nick?
Yes, sir.
Well, on the final round card, we have Nathan Ryan leading the way, followed by Chris Waugh, Jason Herm, and Jesse Bickley. All four of these guys have a good chance to win this event. This is a challenging par 69 course, so there's a lot of places you can make up strokes. And starting us off, Nathan Ryan, 994 rated from Portland, Oregon. He's a pretty new pro, so pretty hot on the scene. He's just went pro in 2016. He has 4 second-place finishes, but he's still seeking that big first pro win.
Nice drive there, too.
Yeah, good way to start the round. So, Chris Waugh here, taking the backhand line. This is a big pull, 425 feet. It's really hard to force yourself to give it that carry, especially with OB on the left and right here.
That turnover shot's difficult.
Yeah,
and
you have to have
tree on the right's OB also.
Yeah, it's a Mando.
Yeah.
So you can't go down the road and take a big hyzer in.
Exactly.
So Jesse Bickley, 4th on the card. Jesse is really one of the hottest players right now in the Northwest. He's only 18, but he's already rated 997. Just picked up an Innova sponsorship, and he already has 4 open wins. He's already played over 20 events this year. So he's a really exciting player to watch out for. Nice upshot there from Chris. Jason with a 60-footer. Looks like he was just giving that a safe run.
Right. Good height. It's a little off on the degrees.
So it looks like on hole 2, starting us off on hole 2, the round will actually finish on hole 1. Nathan gets the lone birdie. So starts with the lead, and he's already pushed it out to 2 strokes. Good work there. Yeah, in round 2, Nathan shot a really hot 7 under, best of the tournament, 1028 rated round.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a tough course to tear up, and it's a course where if you just blink and suddenly you're a couple strokes over par. Even for pro players, this course was really built to be a challenge for the top pros. Blue Lake was put in prior to Portland hosting Worlds, and this was a big part of that pitch for Worlds, was a really signature championship course that could host the final round. And next up,
it did.
Yes, it was an exciting final round.
And playoff.
Yeah. So hole 3, 530-foot par 4. And everything you see there, that's all out of bounds. That's an incredible throw.
Yeah, that was great. Just got it past that last tree and right in a good spot.
Yeah, that's just in the landing area. This is the more traditional line. Most players are going to take this hyzer. It's definitely the safer play. And you really want to get this disc to scoot left. That's sort of the challenge here. Once you clear the corner, really the further left you go, the better.
It's a true dogleg hole.
Yeah, it's just about 90 degrees. And that's a gorgeous drive from Jesse. He is just about 20 feet shy of this little OB patch. And you'll see when you see from the camera angle back from the hole, that's a small tunnel, and pretty much everything you can see that isn't mowed is out of bounds. It really is a ball golf-esque kind of course with all these beautiful fairways, nice and mowed.
Yeah, they did a great job when they put this together. If you hadn't already mentioned, all the taller grass is OB, so he's going all over OB there.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges of that hole, and unfortunately it looks like he caught up some of the tall grass. He's still about 50 feet out, but he'll have a putt for birdie. And this is a really brave shot from Nathan. That is all over OB.
And just barely makes it.
Yeah, that's a mid-range that he really trusts to hold that line. So here's Jesse, a little closer than I thought. He's about maybe 35 feet out, just outside the circle.
Almost gets it.
Yep. Yeah, he really gets a good straight line with that step-through putt.
Right.
And Nathan missing a chance to start 2 for 2 here. Unfortunately, looks like aren't going to be too many birdies on this card. Except for Jason there. Great birdie, so he'll take the pad.
This really is a course where you have to work hard on the front nine to get your birdies, because the back nine does not give you birdies as easily.
Yeah, it just gets harder all the way to the end, and I think that's one of the testaments to it being a real championship course.
Sure.
So Jason with the 3 moves to 2 strokes back, and this is one of those easier holes. It's a wide open 300-foot shot. Much like we mentioned on the last hole, pretty much everything that isn't mowed is out of bounds, so you do have to be careful. The trees right next to the hole are not OB, however, so...
The tree on the right side of the hole. Yeah.
Yes, but there's a little bit of buffer there on the left. But still, it's a touch mid-range shot for these guys. Maybe a putter for some of the longer arms.
That's looking good.
Yeah, there's only...
A little too much skip, though.
There's only a couple of par 3s on this whole course. It's par 69, so... I think the par 3s are really meant to be there as a sort of test your nerve and make sure you're getting those birdies when you can.
Yeah, this one hurts a lot if you go OB on your drive.
Yeah, and take that 4. That's a tough way to start the round.
Yeah, if you're going OB, you want to go OB next to the basket.
Yep.
Like here.
Oh,
Ooh,
wow.
that's a great hit.
That's a huge putt. And it actually looks like he was OB there, so that was actually for par, but a great par save. Chris missing a good birdie look there. So after missing 2 putts pretty close, we'll see if Jesse can clean it up. That's a great birdie. Great straddle putt form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got a really confident stroke. So Nathan clears out his 3. Chris is going to clear out his 3. So once again, another hole where, might have expected to see a few more birdies, but Jesse is going to take the box with the sole birdie there, moving him to 3 strokes back at 10 under. And now one of the bigger holes, hole 5, 590 feet. It's a dog leg right that plays over this really large berm you can see here with that railing. Makes for a really interesting, unique obstacle. So all of that on the right is out of bounds, and they're playing to a pretty wide landing area. What's the strategy on this shot, Nick?
Essentially, you just want to get it down just past that berm on the right. It opens up a lot and sets you up for a nice next shot for the birdie. Yeah,
and that's pretty much textbook right there.
Yeah, right where he's standing there, that's where you want to be on your drive.
Yeah, it's about 400 feet to that back OB, but it is reachable.
Oh yeah.
And you can see there they can get a line at the basket because if you are a more of a mere mortal like myself, you end up on the front of the berm and you have this right at the start of the berm, and it's really scary to go through the trees there. Oh, that is barely inbounds. It's scary to take that right side gap because you're playing into pretty much all OB.
Or that shot, he can't even see the basket from where he's standing, so...
Yeah, and that's coming in hot.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, you wonder if maybe just Jason, not being local, just kind of didn't really know how close that OB is back there. Obviously, he's played the course now, but, a lot of these OB lines, the more you play this course, the better you know where all of those angles are.
Sure, and, if you don't get that drive perfectly... It's a hard get to park that basket, though. Where it's placed makes it pretty well protected.
Yep. Trees right above, trees right to the left. So here's Nathan after the best drive of the group. And that's...
Yeah, he was tucked up a little too close to that berm to get it snuggled up on the upshot.
So Jason misses his comebacker for par, so he will take a bogey. Oh, and Jesse really wanted that. Another just barely outside the circle putt. Nathan as well. So some early putting struggles for our lead card. These are definitely guys that are expecting to make those 25 to 35 footers pretty much every time. Jason, after going OB, will tap out his bogey.
Yeah, you know, you get a camera on you, those 25 footers just get a little difficult.
Yep, everything gets a little bit trickier when you've got that little bit of added pressure knowing that everyone's going to be able to see you around later. So Jesse and Nathan take 4s. Jason takes a 5, and Chris gets that nice birdie. So we move on to hole 6, 280 feet. I think this really is probably the easiest hole on the course, especially for, you know, players of this caliber. There's a hyzer line. There's also a straight line. It does play sort of like an island green. You're pretty much throwing over nothing but OB. That, you know, it looks like there's a path, but it's not really a path.
Well, the thing about this hole is that there are those 2 bushes there that really stop you from just a normal hyzer. You either got to take a spike hyzer like that, or just try to go straight up the gut. So, you know, there are some difficulties to the hole, but yeah, you're right, it is a pretty up and down type of hole.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the few holes without really much in the way of obstacles. Pretty much everything else on this course will either have a dog leg or some trees in your way or a low canopy. So it looks like all these guys got up to right around inside the circle or circle's edge. Jason comes up a little bit short there. And that's
good putt.
Good putt from Jesse. So Jesse starting at the bottom of this lead card, starting to warm up here with another birdie. But Nathan is not going to let his foot up off the gas quite yet. That's a good putt from Jason. Got to make sure you get those par saves.
Right.
Chris with the drop-in birdie. That's a gorgeous drive. So Nathan, Chris, and Jesse all at -2 for the round. As we move on to hole 7, this is a 945-foot par 5, a monster hole. It is in the shorter pin position. That's a little bit easier. So for pros like this is actually a pretty attackable birdie hole. I'd say for someone like me who only drives about 330 feet, like a lot of amateur players, this hole is a very daunting hole. Long tunnel shot. Some people do take a roller line here, but for the most part, you just want to get an air shot. Just get it down there about 350. Set up a good second shot. You don't want to end up in these trees. If you go too far to the left, you give yourself really no good line at the pin.
Of course, it does open up on the left as you get down there. That might not do it, but
yeah, looks like Nathan cut in a little early. He was really trying to get that to come right. Jason with the red shirt and the red disc. Looks like he hit that canopy. Sometimes that canopy really pushes your drive up, I think, mentally. Mm-hmm. A lot of players tend to get stuck up there.
That is pretty much all you have from there. Throwing that roller, you know, there's a lot of natural OB on this hole.
Yep. And not to mention regular old OB.
Right.
On the right, you can see those wooden posts mark an OB line. Pretty much follows the road the whole way down. And the hole plays a little bit downhill, so, you know, sometimes bigger arm guys can even... Ooh, looks like Jason just slipped out of bounds. That's a rough break on this hole. I was going to say, some of the really big arm pros that you see can actually put this down there to give it an eagle look.
Yeah, it happens a lot. You know, it's a couple of 430-foot drives or so, or 70-foot, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
yeah. And Jesse, he will actually, looks like he will have an eagle look from about 80 feet out. And Nathan, after going forehand roller, just playing an escape shot, I think at this point he is just going to play for his par. Doesn't want to do anything too risky and take that big number. Ooh, Chris flirting with that OB there. There's a creek right past where he landed.
It does have that protective barrier though that stops it if you go a little too far.
Yep.
This placement isn't the one, but in the long placement, this is where the epic final playoff hole between Macbeth and Wysocki, was it?
Yep.
Right? Yeah, that was.
Yep. Yeah, that was great to watch. Definitely worth checking out on YouTube. Yeah, the pin position is across the creek, and it actually really makes this, I mean, it's a true par 5 either way at 950, but in the longer position, it plays more like 1,050, and it's a really true par 5.
Yeah, that's a tough hole.
Yeah.
You know, when it was in that placement, I was very happy to par it.
Yep, and Chris just misses his short putt. Still looking to try to lock it in. And Jason needs to sort of get his round going, and unfortunately, I believe that was his par putt, so he's going to take a bogey on this hole. Unfortunate break for Jason.
That's the thing about this course is strokes come easily.
Yep, it's harder to get those birdies than it is to slip up and take a big number sometimes, especially as you can see the wind starting to pick up here. That adds a whole nother element to this course.
Yeah, definitely.
And Jesse with a drop-in birdie.
Very nice.
He really showed you just how you want to play that hole. And as a result, he gets to -3 for the round. He is just 2 back of the lead. So we move on to hole 8. This is one of my favorite holes on this course. This is a really dynamic par 3. It looks sort of like an easy shot at first glance, but you'll see here with the wind that really starts to rip up on this hole, you're playing over a lot of OB. All that on the left is OB. There's an OB creek right in front of the pin, and there's OB long and right. So
this is very conducive to a flick or lefty backhand.
Yep.
You can get it over there with the turnover like that. It's a great shot.
Yeah, turnover is a brave line, and that was a beautiful shot there. And I really think this hole really plays more like 330.
You think?
Yeah, I mean I think it's a little bit longer than 265. I think this was actually.
Yeah.
But I feel like it plays a little bit longer still, just because you can't go right at it. You have to take this crazy line, and
it does play long.
And as you can see here with Jason, you make one little mistake on the drive, and suddenly he's fighting for bogey, and he's going to take a second out of bounds. Wow. And he's just going to step up and take another one. Didn't even want to see where he landed out there. So this is going to be his putt for, I believe, double bogey. And looks like he's a little frustrated there.
Who wouldn't be?
Yeah, that's it's hard when you make it onto the final card or the final round to take some of those bogeys early, because you know that you're running out of time to make those strokes back up on the back nine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I played in this actual tournament, and I think I finished second to last, and I made a lot of those mistakes.
Yep. So Jesse here, just gets his birdie to slide in there. Great shot. So Jesse's on a tear now, 4 down on the first 8. As I mentioned earlier, 7 under is the hot round of the weekend, so he's already more than half the way there.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to get those birdies in the beginning, because the back will try to take them away.
So yeah, it looks like Jason took a double P7. Sorry for miscounting there, but it's tricky when those OBs come that fast, unfortunately. Jesse takes the birdie.
I think this is arguably one of the easier holes on the course, even though it can be quite dangerous.
Yep, 525-foot par 4. Yeah, as Nick mentioned, there is a lot of OB, and the wind can make this tricky, but as long as you keep your shots safe, you really only need about a 300-foot hyzer to get to the main central landing zone, and then it's another 225 feet to the pin. So Yeah, if you play it safe, you get a drive. That's a really wide landing area. I think it's conceivable that someone could try to drive this green, but there's really no reason to take that risk.
No.
And you can see Nathan is also just going to ride to that middle landing zone. Pushing it a little right, but I think that sneaks in there inbounds.
I heard in the future they're thinking about pulling back that green, making it bigger, and then also pulling back that the front OB line to make it a little bit more appealing to go for it.
Yeah.
That would definitely make this hole more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see this as like a bomber 470-foot par 3, with a sort of, do you take the safe par route or do you try to go for the gutsy birdie?
Right.
And great shot there.
The thing is there's, these par 3.5s, but there's par 4s that are definitely par 4.5s out there. So,
yeah.
It kind of really makes up for itself.
Yeah, no, this is certainly a course that earns its par 69. There are definitely a couple that are easy, but not a lot.
Yeah, par is very good on this course.
Yeah, so... Oh, Chris just misses his birdie. This is definitely one of those last real opportunity holes here to finish out the front 9. And Jesse, 5 under now through actually only 8 holes played. So just an incredible start.
I think we have one more hole of the birdieable,
Yep. Good birdie from Jason. That's a good way to recover, It's always nice if you can, if you're going to take something like a quadruple bogey, coming back and getting that birdie is good work. So 3 birdies and 1 par on that. And this is another one of those last few short par 3s before we get into the monster holes. But it's definitely a dicey hole in the wind. There's OB on the right and left. And there's sort of a downslope right behind the pin that leads to an OB kind of creek area. So really pretty much everyone's going to go for this right-hand forehand shot. You just want to skip it in there, and it's sort of up to you. How much do you want to risk trying to get right down to the basket? I imagine you take the lefty backhand, Nick.
Yes, I do. Of course, this tournament I don't think I birdied it. You don't play tournaments a lot. The head game gets you good.
Yep. And this is a hole that really can get in your head.
Totally.
Because you really feel like, at 300 feet, you should just be able to get it down there. But it manages to be tricky. And
I think that just went out, yeah.
It's an unfortunate break. Just barely got over that little wall. And is Jesse going to run this? No, it looks like he's taking the smart play. No reason to risk a bogey when you're playing as hot as he is on this final round.
That green gets real fast if you get past that basket.
Yep.
You got that one protective log, but it doesn't stop it all the time.
Yeah, and you got to think that's probably what got into Nathan's head there, knowing that you're putting right into OB.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris, after that unfortunate break, does a nice job tapping out Jesse as well. He'll take his par. So at the end of the first 9, Nathan has a 1-stroke lead over Jesse, but Jesse's really putting on a pretty tremendous front 9. So I hope you'll stay tuned for our back 9 coverage. Great. Thanks for a good round, Nick.
Yeah, thanks for having me.